waiting for child support in the same I went through with Scrappy right now. You a bitch! I went with Scrappy.
I've never
because
called you
that's
a
what
bitch.
you are. You a bitch. That's what you are.
That is my
like you one
husband.
thing.
You're
I don't give a about that. Bitch, you're second best. He followed me to the Dominican Republic and you know that hoe. He proposed to me first. He wanted to be with me. He wanted to marry me and I left.
Let's see if he's with you now.
I left.
Why are you
You're
still arguing
second
about
best,
your
hoe.
baby daddy?
You're second best.
What do you want
When I see you in the streets, just know.
Square up?
Oh, bitch, square the fuck in, bitch.
No.
You know I don't like you, bitch.
Oh, is it a bite?
Girl, what? Who I gotta do?
No.
Let me out.
You ain't gonna
I
do
ain't paid by insurance
I was
yet.
slapping about you. Rasheed, I'm gonna be
The scorching summer heat in Atlanta was nothing unusual, but inside the stunning home Lil Scrappy and Bambi had built together, the tension was far more suffocating than the season's warmth. A betrayal loomed large, threatening to destroy the foundation of their relationship and all they had worked so hard to achieve. The once happy home now seemed on the verge of collapse. Seated in their living room, Bambi's heart raced. Her phone vibrating incessantly on the coffee table only added to her mounting dread. She had just ended a call with her lawyer, and the news had hit her like a bolt from the blue. For weeks, she'd sensed that something wasn't right, small, subtle hints that things were unraveling. Unexplained financial withdrawals and peculiar transactions had raised her suspicions. Now the full truth was laid bare. The money was gone, and the betrayal had come from the last person she expected. With trembling hands, Bambi picked up her phone and reread the message from her lawyer. The name it revealed was a stab to her heart: Erica Dixon. Erica, Scrappy's ex and a long-standing figure in his life, had always seemed like a distant, unchangeable part of their world, never a real threat, or so Bambi had thought. Now, Erica stood at the center of the $3 million that had vanished. The funds had been transferred through a labyrinth of accounts, each layer more intricate than the last, but the trail led unmistakably to Erica. Bambi knew there was no avoiding it. She had to tell Scrappy, but as she stood in the house they had filled with love and memories, her stomach churned. Telling him would shatter their lives, but keeping the secret wasn't an option. Scrappy had been tied up with his music projects, working late nights that had kept him away. As Bambi waited for him to return, she tried to steady herself for the storm that was sure to come. She couldn't predict his reaction, but deep down she knew it wouldn't end well. When Scrappy finally entered the room, his weary eyes scanned the space, immediately noticing the heavy tension in the air. Bambi rose from her seat, her face icy and her hands trembling. "Scrappy," she began, her voice tight and filled with emotion. "We need to talk." Dropping his bag near the door, he raised a skeptical eyebrow. "About what? You look like you've seen a ghost. What's happening?" Bambi hesitated, struggling to find the right words. How could she break it to the man she loved that someone so close to them had stolen millions? The thought felt like a dagger in her chest. Taking a deep, steadying breath, she finally spoke, her voice quivering with both anger and disbelief. "Erica," she murmured. "She took the money. She stole it from me." Scrappy froze in place, his entire body stiffening as his eyes widened in shock. "What?" Bambi's voice cracked as she held up her phone, presenting the evidence. "I have everything here, the wire transfers, the fake accounts. It's all here. She took the $3 million. A suffocating silence filled the room. Scrappy's face turned pale, and his jaw clenched tightly as he processed the bombshell revelation. He didn't want to believe it. Erica, the mother of his child, someone who had been a constant part of their lives, could she have really done something so unthinkable? The truth hit him like a sledgehammer. Running his hands through his hair, he began pacing, his mind racing in 1,000 directions. "Are you absolutely sure about this? Mistakes happen. You're saying Erica took your money?" His voice wavered, filled with doubt, but Bambi's sharp tone left no room for debate. "I wouldn't be telling you this if I wasn't certain," she said firmly, her words laced with betrayal. "The money is gone, Scrappy, and she's the one behind it. I don't know how else to put it. She stole from me." Scrappy stopped dead in his tracks. His expression darkened as a storm of anger, disbelief, and heartbreak swept over him. It was almost too much to comprehend. The woman he once called his wife, the mother of his children, now accused of such a betrayal. His world felt like it was crumbling around him. He didn't know what or who to believe anymore. Could this really be the truth? "Come on, Bambi," Scrappy muttered under his breath, running his hands through his hair in frustration. His voice wavered, the weight of the moment threatening to crush him. How did it come to this? How did we end up here? Bambi swallowed hard, her throat tight as she watched the pain in his eyes. The news had clearly shaken him. She had placed her trust in Erica too, considered her part of their extended family, despite the long-standing tensions between Scrappy and Erica. But now that the truth was out, there was no turning back. Scrappy turned sharply toward the door, his fists clenched tightly. "I need to clear my head," he said, his voice cold and resolute. "I need to be alone." Outside, the warm Atlanta evening carried on as usual, the city alive with energy. Neon lights flickered against the night sky, but inside their quiet home, everything felt heavy and broken. The air was thick with feelings of betrayal, anger, and confusion. Bambi had always seemed to have it all, a life filled with grace, a happy marriage to Scrappy, a growing family, and a thriving career. Everything had been on track until a single shocking discovery changed everything. It all started on a calm Thursday morning. Bambi had just returned from a business trip, her luggage still sitting by the door when something unusual caught her eye while checking her emails. Among the usual messages, there was a wire transfer notification from an unfamiliar source. She looked closer, and as the details unfolded, her world began to crumble. The money was gone, and Erica was at the center of it. Bambi's heart sank as she stared at the screen. More than $3 million had vanished from her account, and it made no sense. She had always trusted her financial advisor, but this transaction felt all wrong. Without hesitation, Bambi contacted her lawyer, determined to uncover the truth. After days of investigation, the horrifying reality came to light. The money had been routed through a web of shell companies, all leading back to Erica Dixon, the woman who had once been a part of their lives. Erica's presence had lingered far longer than Bambi had ever imagined, and now she had returned in a way that felt like a gut punch. Bambi was furious. The betrayal wasn't just Erica's doing, it was also the fault of the financial advisor she had trusted implicitly, who had allowed themselves to be manipulated. It wasn't just the loss of money, it was the loss of trust, a sense of security. Erica had always been a figure from her past, but now she had resurfaced, bringing chaos and betrayal when Bambi least expected it. Feeling burdened and in dire need of support, Bambi decided to call her husband. Lil Scrappy, her partner for nearly 5 years, was the one she turned to in moments like this. After several rings, he finally answered, but the sound of his voice only deepened the ache in her chest. "Scrappy, we need to talk," Bambi said, her voice tight with a mixture of disbelief and anger. "What's wrong, baby?" Scrappy responded, his tone steady but tinged with concern. Bambi could tell he already sensed that something was off. "It's Erica," she said, her voice quivering. "She's the one who took it. She stole the $3 million. For a moment, silence filled the line, a silence so heavy it made Bambi's heart pound. She could almost hear Scrappy's mind racing, trying to process her words. "Erica? What? How is that possible?" Scrappy stammered, struggling to believe what he just heard. "I have proof, Scrappy," Bambi said, her voice breaking under the weight of her emotions. "It's all here, clear as day." Scrappy's mind swirled with disbelief. Erica, the mother of his daughter, had always been a source of tension between him and Bambi. Their already fragile relationship now seemed irreparably shattered. He had always tried to maintain peace between the two women, but this revelation was beyond anything he could have imagined. Without saying another word, Scrappy ended the call abruptly, his frustration boiling over. His fists clenched as he stormed out, determined to get to the bottom of this. He needed answers, and he knew he had to confront Erica. Deep down, though, he feared that the truth would only reveal how tangled this situation truly was. When Scrappy arrived at Erica's house, his anger was barely contained. He prepared himself for a confrontation, but before he could knock, the door swung open. Erica stood there, calm and composed, as though she had been expecting him. "Scrappy," she said, her voice sweet but carrying a subtle edge that only fueled his fury. "What are you doing here?" she asked, her tone laced with a mocking undertone. Scrappy didn't bother with pleasantries. "I know what you did," he said, his voice sharp. "You took Bambi's money. How could you betray her like that?"